Hi Des, it's August the 1st, with the river at its best. What and how much bait should we need for a day's fishing?
In my experience over the years, in any time from July up to October, the middle of October, in the main feeding time, I would say that for an 8-hour session, I've got to set a limit. If it's an 8-hour session, what I would use, and I have to say, I don't use anything nowadays other than boilies. I use boilies, and more boilies, and I use pellet to bait up, and that catches small barbel, big barbel, catches a barbel, and I can't believe that match anglers haven't caught on to this, and hopefully, this year they're starting to do it now, and they're starting to catch on it, that, a pellet is a poor man's boilie. It really is. It's a poor substitute for a boilie. A boilie will catch hundreds of barbel, which it has for me. And what I would do, I would say that I would have hookers that with me, just a dozen, 2 dozen hookers, whatever. I would have feed pellet. I would have half a kilo of feed boilies. And then I would, which would be probably smaller than the one I'm using on the hook, and then I would have something like about 2, 3, 4 kilos of scalded pellets. And what I do is the night before I got a bucket of pellets and of mixed pellets. I'll mix 2, 4 and 6 mil halibut, 2, 4 and 6 mil carp pellet, a few krill pellets, a few pellets that I've got. Anything that I've got, I'll just mix in together. Nothing bigger than 6. I put them in, I put water over the top on the night before, or if it's on the morning, I'll put scalding water on it, boiling water. Top it up the night before, just onto the top of the pellet, not onto the top of the bin, onto the top of the pellet. Then the next day, they've all gone, they've gone mushy. When I arrive at the water, I just turn them over and mix them up, because the top ones will be quite dry, and the bottom, although they're still mushy, they'll be quite dry, and the underneath quite wet. So what I do is mix them all together and get a good texture. It looks as though it's like a sticky paste, but it isn't. You still get the separated pellets. And then what I do, I either use a Nash boilie maker, a ball maker, or I make bigger balls and then fire them in. But I'm only using balls about that big. I don't bait up massive. All I do is just keep going. Plop, plop. I'll probably put bigger balls at the start. I'll probably put about sort of 6 or 8 balls at the start, and then what I do then is after half an hour, after an hour, I just then keep putting these balls in. As I sit in there, I just keep putting the balls in. Bump, bump. And generally, at the end of an 8-hour session, I've got nothing left. And that's whether I've had 2 barbel or whether I've had 21 barbel. I just keep feeding. So half a kilo of feed pellets, my hookers that I'm using, slightly larger, I might use 14, 16, 18 mil hookers. I'll bait up with 10 or 12 mil boilies, and then I've got the pellets 3. So altogether I'm probably using 3.5, maybe 4 kilos of bait.